Welcome to Success Stories, the podcast where we break down the minds of the world's most extraordinary entrepreneurs and innovators. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating, controversial, and undeniably brilliant minds of our generation, Elon Musk. Whether you love him or hate him, you cannot ignore him. The man has revolutionized electric vehicles, made rockets land themselves, and is literally trying to put humans on Mars. But here's what most people miss. It's not just about what he's accomplished, it's about how he thinks. Today, we're going to reverse engineer the Elon Musk mindset. We're going to break down the specific mental frameworks and thinking patterns that took him from a kid in South Africa to the richest person on the planet. And more importantly, we're going to show you how you can apply these same principles to your own life and business. So grab your coffee, your notebook, and let's get into it. All right, let's start with the big one. If there's one thinking framework that defines Elon Musk, it's this: first principles thinking. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, great, another buzzword. But stay with me, because this is genuinely life-changing when you understand it. Here's how Elon explains it. Most people think by analogy. They look at what already exists and make small improvements. Well, that's how it's always been done, so that's how we'll do it. But first principles thinking means breaking something down to its fundamental truths and reasoning up from there. Let me give you the example that changed everything, the SpaceX story. When Elon wanted to start a space company, everyone told him he was insane. Rockets were expensive. A single rocket cost about $65 million. That was the market price. That was reality. Case closed, right? Wrong. Elon asked a different question. He didn't ask what do rockets cost. He asked what are rockets made of. Aerospace-grade aluminum alloys, titanium, copper, carbon fiber. And he looked up what those materials cost on the commodity markets. Turns out the raw materials for a rocket were only about 2% of the typical rocket price. Think about that, 2%. So he said, if I can figure out how to assemble these materials efficiently, I can reduce rocket costs by 90% or more. And that's exactly what SpaceX did. Today, they've made rockets reusable, which was thought to be impossible. They've dropped launch costs from $65 million to around $15 million per flight. The lesson here, stop accepting things as they are. When someone says, that's just how much it costs, or that's just how it's done, challenge it, break it down. What are the actual constraints? What are the fundamental truths? Then build up from there. Here's where Elon diverges from conventional business advice. Every business book tells you to find a gap in the market, solve a small problem, scale gradually. Start with a minimal viable product. Be realistic. Elon does the opposite. He looks for civilization-level problems and asks, how do we solve this? Climate change threatening the planet? Create Tesla to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. Humanity stuck on one planet vulnerable to extinction. Start SpaceX to make us multiplanetary. Traffic in cities unbearable. Dig tunnels with the Boring Company. Human cognition limited compared to AI. Create Neuralink. Now, you might be thinking, that's easy to say when you're a billionaire, but here's the thing, Elon started this way. When he sold PayPal and made his first fortune, he could have retired to a beach somewhere. Instead, he invested almost everything into Tesla and SpaceX, two industries where startups almost never succeed. People thought he was going to lose it all, and he almost did. In 2008, both companies were weeks from bankruptcy. He had to borrow money for rent. But he kept going because he wasn't motivated by money. He was motivated by impact. The lesson, don't just ask, what can I make money from? Ask, what problem am I uniquely positioned to solve that would actually matter? Yes, you need to make money to survive, but when your mission is bigger than yourself, you'll find reserves of energy and persistence you didn't know you had. Let's talk about something uncomfortable, the work ethic. Elon Musk has famously said he works 80 to 100 hours per week. During the peak of Tesla's production problems, he was sleeping on the factory floor, not in a nice office with a couch. On the factory floor, he sent emails at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., all hours. Now, before the comments section explodes, I'm not saying you need to work 100 hours a week. I'm not saying that's healthy or sustainable for most people, but here's what we can learn. Elon has a relationship with work that's different from most people. He's not grinding because someone's making him. He's not working those hours because he has to prove something. He genuinely loves what he's doing, He's obsessed with the problems he's solving. There's a quote from him that I think captures this. I love what I do. I don't consider it work. When you're building rockets or designing cars or working on brain-computer interfaces and you're genuinely fascinated by it, those hours feel different. The lesson, it's not about forcing yourself to work 100-hour weeks. It's about finding work that you're so genuinely interested in that you want to think about it all the time. When people talk about passion, this is what they mean, not some vague feeling, but genuine intellectual obsession with a problem. Ask yourself, what could you work on where 12-hour days wouldn't feel like suffering but like opportunity? Here's something Elon does that most people completely miss. He's constantly seeking negative feedback. Most of us avoid criticism. We surround ourselves with people who tell us we're great. We get defensive when someone points out flaws, not Elon. He's said explicitly, I think it's very important to have a feedback loop, where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. He actively seeks out criticism and negative feedback because that's where the learning happens. At SpaceX, they have a culture of rapid iteration. They'll build a rocket prototype, test it, watch it explode, and immediately start figuring out what went wrong. Starship has had multiple explosive tests. Each one taught them something crucial. They don't see failures as setbacks. They see them as data points. Compare that to traditional aerospace companies that spend years perfecting designs on paper before building anything, terrified of failure. The lesson, create tight feedback loops in your life. Don't wait 6 months to see if your business idea works. Test it this week. Get real feedback from real customers. Fail fast, learn fast, iterate fast. Every failure is just information about what doesn't work, bringing you closer to what does. Elon has a physics degree, and he applies physics-based thinking to everything. What does that mean? It means he trusts fundamental laws over popular opinion. He trusts math over gut feelings. He trusts data over tradition. When people told him electric cars couldn't have long range, he did the math on battery energy density and said, actually, the physics says we can. When people said reusable rockets were impossible, he did the calculations and said, the physics allows for it. He doesn't care what the experts think if their reasoning doesn't hold up to mathematical scrutiny. This has made him a lot of enemies, but it's also made him right more often than not. The lesson? Don't just accept what people tell you. Do the math, look at the data, understand the fundamentals. In your field, whatever it is, what are the core principles? What are the actual constraints versus the assumed constraints? Most limitations are social, not physical. Most impossibilities are just things no one has figured out yet. Here's a paradox about Elon Musk. He thinks in decades while acting with daily urgency. His vision for SpaceX is to establish a self-sustaining city on Mars. That's a 20 to 30-year goal, maybe longer. But he runs SpaceX with intense daily urgency, pushing his teams to move faster, cut timelines, and accelerate everything. He's famous for setting impossible deadlines, and yes, SpaceX and Tesla miss a lot of those deadlines. But here's what happens. By aiming for an impossible deadline, they achieve things in 2 years that would have taken competitors 5 years with a realistic timeline. It's what's called aspirational deadlines. The goal isn't to hit the exact date. The goal is to create a culture of urgency and focus. The lesson, have a long-term vision that excites you. Where do you want to be in 10 years? But don't use that long timeline as an excuse to be lazy today. Act with urgency. Set aggressive deadlines. Move fast. The combination of long-term vision and short-term urgency is incredibly powerful. Last one, and this might be the most accessible for everyone listening. Elon Musk is a voracious reader and learner. As a kid, he read encyclopedias for fun. He taught himself rocket science by reading textbooks. He's learned about manufacturing, materials science, AI, neuroscience, and more. But here's the key. He doesn't just learn deeply in one field. He learns across multiple fields and then combines insights from different domains. The ability to pull a concept from physics and apply it to business, or take a manufacturing technique from one industry and apply it to another, that's where breakthrough innovation happens. The lesson? Don't just go deep in your field, go wide too. Read outside your industry, learn about science, psychology, history, technology, whatever interests you. Your brain will start making connections that other people miss. Innovation often happens at the intersection of disciplines. All right, let's bring this all together. To think like Elon Musk means 1. Use first principles thinking, break problems down to fundamental truths. 2. Solve big problems, don't just chase what's easy or profitable. 3. Find work you're obsessed with, so effort feels like opportunity, not obligation. 4. Seek feedback and iterate rapidly, fail fast, learn faster. 5. Trust physics over opinions, do the math, trust the data. 6. Think long-term but act with urgency, big vision, daily hustle. 7. Learn across multiple disciplines, innovation lives at intersections. Now, do you need to follow all of these to be successful? No. Elon Musk is an extreme case. His approach comes with real costs, personal sacrifices, and it's not for everyone. But here's what I want you to take away. You don't have to be Elon Musk. You don't have to build rockets or electric cars. But you can adopt these thinking frameworks and apply them to your life, your problems, your goals. What's one problem in your life or business that you've been accepting as unchangeable? Could you apply first principles thinking to it? What's one area where you're thinking too small? What would the ambitious version of your goal look like? What field outside your own could you start learning about that might give you unique insights? Start there, start today. That's it for today's episode of Success Stories. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Elon Musk's thinking patterns, hit that subscribe button, leave us a review. And most importantly, go apply one of these principles to your own life this week. Next week, we're diving into another extraordinary mind. I won't spoil who it is, but let's just say they turned a coffee company into a global lifestyle brand worth billions. Until then, keep thinking different, keep pushing boundaries, and remember, the future belongs to those who build it. I'm your host, and this has been Success Stories.